Their whole stands of gum trees looked dead. Pete racked his brains. Dieback, it was called. Some kind of disease. But the thought didn't dent his equilibrium. Not on such a clear, still day, the air perfumed and the peninsula giddy with springtime growth all around him. Orchard blossom, weeds, tall grass going to seed beside the road, the bottlebrush flowering. He reached the coastal plain and soon he was in Waterloo. Pete was a bit of a sociologist. He liked to get the feel of a place before he went active, and he already knew Waterloo to be a town of extremes. Rich and poor, urban and rural, privileged and disadvantaged. You didn't see the wealthy very often. They lived in converted farmhouses or architectural nightmares a few kilometres outside town or on bluffs overlooking the bay. The poor lived in small brick and weatherboard houses behind the town's couple of shopping streets and in newer but still depressing housing estates on the town's perimeter. You didn't see the poor buying ride-on mowers, reins and bridles, Lucerne hay or $30 bottles of the local Pinot Noir. They ate at McDonald's, bought Christmas presents in the $2 shops, and drove huge, old, inefficient V8s. They didn't cycle, jog or attend the gym, but presented to the local surgeries with long untreated illnesses brought on by bad diets, alcohol and drug abuse, or injuries from hard physical labour in the nearby refinery or on some rich guy's boutique vineyard. They were the extremes. There were a lot of people who ticked over nicely, thank you, because the state or local governments employed them, or because rich and poor alike depended on them. Earlier in the week, Pete had driven into town via the road that skirted the mangrove flats, but today he drove right through the centre of Waterloo, slowly down High Street, reflecting, spotting changes and tendencies, making connections. He wouldn't mind betting the new gourmet deli might flourish, but wasn't surprised to see for sale signs in the camping and electronic shops, not with a new Kmart in the next block. It made him mad, briefly. His instincts were to support the little man. He drove on, passing a couple of pharmacies, a health food shop, bakery, ANZ Bank, travel agency, Salvation Army op shop, the library and shire offices. And finally, High Street opened onto the Foreshore Reserve, extensively treed parkland, picnic tables, skateboard ramps, a belt of mangrove skirting the bay, and an area given over to the annual Waterloo Show. Not busy today, but all of the rides and sideshows would be in full swing on the weekend. Pete passed the show, making for the far end of the reserve, where he parked beside a toilet block that he'd scattered out earlier in the week. Grimy brick, odoriferous, no disguising what it was. He went in, checked that he was alone, and changed into a grey wig, grey paste-on moustache, white lab coat and black horn rims with clear lenses. Then he drove to Trevally Street and parked where the sunlight through the plane trees cast transfiguring patterns over himself and his van. He wasn't a smoker, but had been known to toss other men's cigarette butts at a scene to throw off the cops. Now Pete waited. He waited by the van's open door, a clipboard in his hand. Time passed. Maybe she had detention or after-school care, or was dawdling on the playground. He walked to the corner and back. Surely she'd be along soon, dreamily pumping the pedals of her bike, helmet crooked on her gleaming curls, backpack bumping against her downy spine. Of course, she might not come, but twice now he'd watched her take this detour after school. Rather than ride straight home, she'd made her way along Trevally and down to the Waterfront Reserve to the magic of the Waterloo Show, with its dodgem cars, Ferris wheel, the Mad Mouse ride, the ghost train, fairy floss on a stick. The show was a magnet to all kinds of kids, but Pete had chosen only one kid. He paced up and down, the van door partly open, listening to the bees in some nearby roses. But then she appeared, just as he'd imagined. He stood and waited as she approached. Finally she was upon him, and he stepped into a path, saying, "Your mum was taken ill. She wants me to take you to her."